Eli Harker drove down the lonely desert road with the sound of wind pressing against his old truck. The sky was wide and gold, stretching endlessly over the empty land. 20 years had passed since he had last been here, his mother's old cabin, hidden between two red canyons. He had promised himself he would never return, but when the letter came saying the land was now his, something inside him whispered that it was time. The place looked the same when he arrived. The wooden porch still leaned to one side, the small windmill still turned slowly in the dry wind, and the same mountains guarded the horizon. But the most strange thing was how alive the place looked. The garden was green, the tools were clean, and there was not a single speck of dust on the window glass. Someone had been taking care of it. Eli stepped out of the truck and looked around carefully. The sun was going down, painting the rocks orange. The air smelled like sand and sage. He walked to the door and opened it slowly. The old hinges creaked, but the cabin looked almost new inside. The table was polished. The old picture of his mother still hung above the fireplace. On the shelf, her research journals were neatly stacked, and the small blue light of a still-working solar lamp glowed softly in the corner. He set down his bag and sat at the table, staring at the journals. His mother had been a xenobiologist who worked with alien species when Earth first made contact with other worlds. Her last project had been about the Velperians, a species that looked human but had fox-like ears, tails, and golden eyes. She had studied one Velperian who had crashed on Earth 20 years ago. Her name was S.A. Eli. Eli had met her only once when he was a child. He remembered the soft sound of her voice, the way her eyes glowed faintly in the dark, and how she always smiled at his mother. To him, she had seemed like a fairy tale, something too gentle for this world. Then, one night, both his mother and Sally disappeared into the desert. Only his mother's body was found later. Sally was never seen again. Now, 2 decades later, the memory came back like an echo. That night, Eli could not sleep. The desert wind blew through the canyon, carrying strange sounds that rose and fell like a song. Around midnight, he heard something else, a soft humming, like a melody sung far away. It was the same tune his mother used to hum when she worked late. But now it came from outside, near the canyon ridge. Eli stood and took a lantern. The night air was cool, the stars so bright they looked close enough to touch. He walked toward the canyon, his boots crunching against the sand. The humming grew louder. Then, near a cluster of rocks, he saw a shadow. It was tall, slim, and graceful. When the figure turned, he froze. It was a woman, or at least, she looked like one with long silver hair flowing behind her. Her eyes glowed amber, bright in the starlight. 2 fox-like ears twitched atop her head. Her tail shimmered softly as it moved. Sally, Eli whispered without meaning to. She turned at the sound of his voice. For a long moment, neither spoke. The desert was silent except for the wind. Then she smiled, gentle and warm, exactly as he remembered. Eli, she said softly. Her voice was musical, like the sound of water running over stone. You came back? He took a step closer, his heart racing. It's you. You're still here. You haven't aged a day. Sally nodded slowly. Your mother told me to wait for you. The words hit him hard. Wait for me? Why? Sally looked at the horizon, where the moonlight touched the canyon. Because she said, one day you would come back. She said I would know when to tell you the truth. Eli felt a mix of confusion and emotion. The truth about what? My mother's research? About you. She smiled sadly. About everything. They sat near the fire pit his mother once used, and Sally lit a small flame with a touch of her hand. Her furred tail wrapped around her legs as she looked into the firelight. She told him stories of his mother, how she had found Sally injured after her ship crashed, how she had hidden her from the people who feared aliens, how she taught her about Earth. She saved me, Sally said softly. Your mother gave me food, a home, and hope, but there was one thing she couldn't give me: time. My people live long, but not forever. I was dying when she found me, so she did something. She used your world's science to heal me. Eli stared at her. She experimented on you. Sally shook her head gently. She called it a gift. She said I would be tied to Earth forever, that my body would learn to live here as long as my promise stayed true. What promise? Saley looked at him, her eyes deep with emotion. To protect you. She made me promise to stay until you were grown. She said you would need me one day. Eli's throat tightened. You waited 20 years? Yes. Saley smiled faintly. The days here are long, but I was never lonely. I watched the stars, kept the garden, and listened to the wind. It always brought your mother's voice. And sometimes I thought I heard yours too. He looked at her carefully, trying to understand. You never left. Not once? She shook her head. I could not. The promise kept me here. And now, you are here. The fire crackled softly. The night felt heavy with memories. Eli felt something stir inside him, a strange warmth, half sorrow and half wonder. Saley reached out slowly, her hand hovering just above his. You have her eyes, she whispered, and her courage. Before he could speak, a bright flash crossed the sky, a streak of light, too steady to be a shooting star. It moved fast, then slowed, glowing blue against the darkness. Saley's expression changed from calm to fear. They're here, she said quietly. Who? Eli asked, looking up. My people. Her voice trembled slightly. They're searching for me. Eli's heart pounded. After all these years? They never forget one of their own, but I am no longer one of them. If they find me, they will take me back and erase everything your mother did. The light moved again, scanning the land with a faint beam. Saley pressed her hand to a small device on her wrist, and the fire vanished. The desert went dark. Come, she whispered, pulling him behind a rock outcrop. The blue light passed overhead, humming like an engine, then faded into the distance. They waited until silence returned. Eli turned to her. Why are they still looking for you? You said you were dying. Why would they want you back? Saley looked down. Because I carry something forbidden. When your mother healed me, she used something from Earth's, something from her own blood. It changed me. To them, I am no longer pure Vulperian. I am something new. They fear what I've become. Eli tried to process her words. So you're part human now? She nodded slowly. In a way, your mother wanted to help both our kinds understand each other, but when she realized how my people would react, she told me to hide. She said her son would come back someday, and that he would have questions only I could answer. Eli felt the ground shift under his thoughts. Everything he knew about his mother's work, her mysterious death, the years of silence, it all started to make sense. So she died protecting you, he said quietly. Saley's voice trembled. She saved me one last time. She told them I had already left Earth. I wanted to save her, but she made me promise not to interfere. She said, if I lived, her dream would live too. Tears filled her eyes, catching the moonlight. She quickly brushed them away, embarrassed. Your mother was the best of your kind. I thought the stars would forget her, but now I see her again. In you. Eli felt something inside him break softly. He didn't know what to say. Saley's words felt heavy and kind all at once. He looked up at the stars. If they come back, what will you do? Saley smiled faintly. Hide again if I must, or fight. I have waited too long to lose everything now. Eli took a deep breath. Then you won't have to face it alone. She looked at him, startled. You would help me? He nodded. You waited 20 years because of my family. That means something. I don't know what my mother planned, but I won't let her promise end here. For a long moment, Saley said nothing. Then she smiled, small but real. You sound like her. The two of them sat together, watching the horizon. The first light of dawn began to rise, painting the canyon in gold and silver. Saley's fur shimmered softly in the light. And Eli saw how beautiful and strange she truly was, neither human nor alien, but something in between. When the sun broke over the ridge, Saley stood and turned toward the cabin. You should rest, she said. Tomorrow, I will show you what your mother left behind. What did she leave? Saley hesitated. Something that can change everything. but once you see it, there is no turning back. Eli looked at her, uncertain but curious. I think I've already crossed that line. Seely's golden eyes softened. Then you are ready. As she walked back toward the cabin, Eli followed, feeling both fear and wonder. The morning light made the desert glow, and for the first time in years, the place felt alive. He could almost feel his mother's presence in the wind. Watching them both, inside the cabin, Seely touched the wall near the bookshelf. A small panel opened, revealing a hidden compartment. She turned to him. Your mother told me to wait until this moment, she said. Until you were grown, and until you came back of your own will. Eli stepped closer. Inside the compartment was a small device shaped like a crystal, glowing faintly with blue light. What is it? He asked. Seely looked at him with quiet sadness. Your mother's final message? It holds the truth about me, about you, and about why she trusted me with your future. Eli stared at the light, his heart pounding. The air felt heavy, full of questions he wasn't sure he wanted answered. Seely placed her hand gently on his shoulder. The morning sun spread over the canyon, painting the sand with gold and rose light. Eli sat at the table, staring at the small glowing crystal his mother had left behind. It pulsed softly, as if it had a heartbeat. Seely moved quietly around the cabin, preparing tea from desert herbs. Her movements were calm and graceful, but her ears twitched slightly, showing she was uneasy. When she placed a cup in front of him, she said, The message is locked. It needs your touch. Only your voice can open it. Eli hesitated. My voice. Yes. She said, Your mother used your childhood voice as the key. Say your name, just as you did when you were little. He looked down at the crystal, feeling strange. Slowly, he whispered, Eli Harker. The crystal flickered, then glowed brighter. A soft hum filled the room, and a beam of light rose into the air. The image of his mother appeared above the table, clear and warm, smiling exactly as he remembered. Eli, her voice said, You're seeing this? It means you've come home. It means Seely kept her promise. Eli's breath caught in his throat. Seely bowed her head respectfully, her tail curling close behind her. I know you have questions, the message continued. About my work, about Seely, and about why I made her stay. I cannot tell you everything, but you must know this. The Valpyrians are not just visitors from the stars. They are connected to us in ways no one imagined. Their energy, what they call soul resonance, can bond with ours. It's not magic. It's life itself. The hologram flickered, but her mother's eyes stayed kind. When Seely was dying, I used my own cells to heal her, she said. It worked, but it also created a link between her and my family. That link now exists in you. You are part of both worlds, Eli. You carry something that can help her people survive, if they ever learn to trust humanity. Eli felt his hands tremble. His mother's voice grew softer. I knew this would be a heavy truth. That's why I asked Seely to wait for you to teach you what I couldn't. Trust her, Eli. Protect her. When the time comes, choose with your heart, not your fear. The image faded slowly until the crystal dimmed again. The room felt still. Eli sat in silence, unable to speak. Seely looked at him with quiet sadness. Now you understand? She said softly. He looked up, his voice barely steady. You mean I have part of your kind inside me? Seely nodded. Your mother shared her life with mine. It passed to you. You are human, Eli, but your energy or resonance feels like ours. That's why your voice could open the message. Eli leaned back, trying to breathe. And the others, your people, they'd destroy this if they found out? Yes, Seely whispered. To them, I am a mistake. They would take me away and erase every sign that I lived among humans. He stared at the glowing crystal. Then we can't let them find you. Seely looked torn. If I stay hidden, my people will never learn the truth. But if I go back, they might destroy everything your mother dreamed of. Outside, a low sound rolled through the air, distant, like thunder but sharper. Seely's ears flicked up instantly. They're scanning again, she said. Their ship is near. Eli grabbed his coat. Then we move. Where can we hide? Seely shook her head. Running won't help. Their technology can find life signs. But maybe we can change the signal. She pulled out a small metallic sphere from her belt pouch. This is a trans-resonator. It can mimic my life energy for a short time. If we set it near the canyon ridge, they'll follow it instead of me. Eli nodded. Then let's do it. They moved quickly through the desert, climbing toward the ridge where the wind howled between red rocks. Sally adjusted the small device, her fingers glowing faintly as she touched it. When it activated, a shimmer of light spread through the air. "They'll think I'm there," she said. "We must go the other way." They started back toward the cabin, but a blue beam cut across the sky again, closer now. The hum of engines grew louder. Sally grabbed Eli's hand and pulled him into a cave near the canyon wall. The light swept past, then faded slowly. Inside the cave, shadows danced along the walls. Eli's heart was still racing. How long can that trick fool them? "Not long," she said quietly. "Maybe an hour, maybe less." He looked at her, seeing the worry behind her calm face. "You waited 20 years to keep a promise. Not letting them take you now." Sally's eyes softened. "Your mother said you were stubborn," she murmured, almost smiling. He smiled back faintly. Guess she was right. They stayed hidden until the sky turned gray again. When they returned to the cabin, the world felt quieter but heavier. The ship was gone for now. Sally stood by the window looking at the horizon. "They'll come back," she said. "They always do." Eli sat beside the table, his mind full of his mother's message. "You said my resonance could help your kind." What did she mean by that? Lee turned slowly, her expression gentle but serious. "Among my people, a bond is more than love. It is energy shared between souls. My mother believed that bond could exist between human and Vulperian. She proved it when she saved me. You carry that same energy now? No. If you connect with me fully, it could prove that both species can live as one." He looked surprised. "Connect, you mean? Some kind of link?" She nodded. "Not with machines or wires, through trust. Through heart." She looked down, her voice quiet. "But it is not something to take lightly. Once done, it cannot be undone. We would share thoughts, feelings, life itself." Eli swallowed hard. "And if we don't, then my body will fade," she said softly. "The link your mother gave me was temporary. It needs to be renewed or I will die when the next lunar cycle ends." Eli froze. "That's less than a month." Sally nodded. "It is not your burden, Eli. I never wanted you to carry this. I only wanted to keep my promise to your mother." He stood and walked to her side. "She wanted us to trust each other. That means I can't just let you die." Sally turned her face toward him, eyes glowing softly with emotion. "You would do that for me?" He smiled sadly. "You waited 20 years. Seems fair I'd do something in return." She laughed gently, the sound soft like wind through bells. "You sound like a Vulperian already." That night, the sky filled with 2 moons. They stood together outside the cabin, the desert glowing silver and blue. Sally showed him how the resonance worked. She placed her hand over his heart, and he felt a warmth spread through his chest. Her eyes closed as faint light shimmered around them, soft and golden. "Don't be afraid," she said. "Just breathe." Eli focused on the rhythm of his heartbeat. Slowly, he felt another rhythm match at hers. The air seemed to hum. His mother's voice echoed in his mind. "Choose with your heart, not your fear." The light grew brighter, swirling between them like dust caught in sunlight. For a moment, he saw flashes of memories, his mother smiling beside Sally. The crash site, the long, lonely nights Sally had spent waiting by the canyon. He felt her emotions to grief, hope, love, patience. When the light faded, Sally stepped back, breathing softly. Her eyes glowed warmer now. "It's done," she whispered. "The bond is complete." Eli blinked, trying to steady himself. "Did it work?" "Yes," she said, smiling faintly. "I can feel your strength. The energy flows again. Your mother would be proud." He looked at her carefully. "How do you feel?" "Alive," she said simply. For the next few days, they lived quietly. Sally taught him about her world, the twin suns, the crystal cities, the songs her people used to sing to the stars. Eli showed her old pictures of his mother and told her about Earth's music. Rain, laughter, the little things that made life human. Each evening, they sat outside watching the sky. The connection between them grew stronger. Eli began to sense her feelings without words. When she was sad, he felt a heaviness in his chest. When she smiled, his heart lifted. But peace did not last long. One night, a loud hum shook the ground. A blue light filled the horizon. Sally's ears twitched sharply. "They've returned," she said. "And this time, they won't stop." Eli stood up. "And we need to make them believe you're gone for good." Sally frowned. "How?" He ran inside and grabbed the transresonator. "We'll use this to send a false signal. If we combine it with my mother's old beacon, maybe we can fool their sensors." Sally looked unsure, so that could destroy the beacon and her message. Eli nodded slowly. "Maybe, but it's the only way to keep you safe." She hesitated, then handed him the small device. "Then we do it together." They climbed back to the ridge as the ship descended, its lights sweeping across the canyon. The air buzzed with energy. Eli connected the devices, his hand shaking. "When I press this, it'll send a final pulse. It'll tell them the signal came from far north miles away." Sally touched his arm. "Eli, if this fails, you must run." He shook his head. "Not without you." The ship's engines grew louder. Blue wind whipped around them. Eli pressed the switch. The transresonator flared bright white, and a surge of energy burst through the sky. The alien sensors turned instantly toward the false signal, chasing it across the desert. Within seconds, the ship rose higher, following the decoy trail. They stood together, breathless as the sound faded into the distance. "It worked," Eli said quietly. Sally stared at the stars, tears shining in her eyes. "You saved me," she whispered, "just like your mother did." He smiled faintly. "Guess it runs in the family." For a moment, silence filled the canyon. Then Sally turned to him, her golden eyes soft and full of emotion. "You didn't just save me, Eli. You saved what your mother believed in the bond between our worlds." He looked at her gently. "Then maybe it's time to stop waiting and start living."